Hello and welcome to A Day in the Garden with me, Christina Linder. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about a subject that can be quite unsavory, and I want to talk about rats. This summer I was away for a few weeks, and when I came home I found that a gang of rats had invaded my garage. Luckily they hadn't gone into the rest of the house, but I learned a lot of things about rats, and I want to share a little bit about that with you today. So if you start with a mating pair, they are capable of reproducing every 3 months or so, and a rat litter can have up to 12 rats. Within a year, you can easily end up with about 1,200 rats, and within 3 years, if they're left undisturbed, you can end up with about 500 million rats. So while rats are really cute and you don't want to kill them, you absolutely cannot have them take over your entire house. There's different kinds of rats. In North America, we have 2 kinds of rats that are most common. One is a Norway rat, and they can get quite large. They can get up to a foot long, not counting their tail. And then you also have roof rats that can get up to about 8 inches plus tail. Norway rats are burrowing rats. So if you have holes in your garden, for instance, where rats may live, it's probably a Norway rat that lives there. Roof rats are black. Norway rats are sort of a browny gray color. And they're both very prolific. So it's very important that you deal with this as soon as you find out. If you're wanting to find out a little bit more about, if you maybe hear scurrying noises, or you find their droppings, or you might even identify a rat problem by a smell of ammonia, because they are incontinent and they tinkle wherever they go. So there's a few different ways of dealing with this. First of all, I would start by using a fine mesh strainer or sieve. Just dust a little tiny bit of flour on the floor where they might be, and you'll be able to tell by their foot tracks and by their tails they drag through the flour. Then you can sort of see how big they might be. There's of course also mice, and they're a lot smaller. Typically mouse poop will be about the size of a small grain of rice, whereas a rat dropping is significantly bigger. And of course there's lots of different ways of dealing with them. So you can, first line of defense should always be to identify what the problem is. If you're uncomfortable dealing with it yourself, I'd say call an exterminator right away. What they will do is they will check the external part of your house for entry points, and usually what the rats will have done is find a way or multiple ways into your house, and they will come and go through those exit points. So the first line of defense is to get them out of the house and then to block those entryways where they keep coming and going. You also have to make sure that you remove all the sources of food for them. So if you're storing your bag of rice, for instance, in the garage, like I was, that's just fantastic for the rats, and they'll just eat that. So make sure that you don't have any food stored in areas where they can access it. As well, water, if you have water standing someplace, remove that so that they're not able to feed and drink inside your house. If you're going to try to deal with this yourself, you have different ways of trapping them, and in my opinion you always want to be as humane as humanly possible. You don't want to hurt any animals, so you want to make sure that you sort of research the mode of action that you're going to take. You can get live traps, but you have to also think that through and decide what you're going to do with the rat once you catch it. So you have to relocate them. You can't just open the door and let them out, because they're just going to come right back into your house again. So if you're going to use a live cat trap, have a plan for where you're going to let the rats out. Glue traps is another way, and I find those quite terrible, because you can imagine what it would be like to get caught in a glue trap. I wouldn't like that at all. There's also bait stations that you can get that keep the bait safe from other animals, cats and kids and so on and so forth. A lot of rat poisons, there's different kinds, but for some of them vitamin K is an antidote, and if you have a chicken coop in the area, chicken feed is usually fortified with vitamin K for the benefit of the chickens. So if you're giving rat poison to rats that are eating chicken food, it's not going to work very well. Personally, if I have to kill a rat, I prefer the old-fashioned method of using a spring trap, a snap trap. And I have a couple of options here that I want to show you. A really good bait for rats is peanut butter, because it's very rich in oils and nutrients, and they seem to quite love it. So when you're going to bait a rat trap, the first thing you want to do is make absolutely sure that you know exactly where your fingers are in regards to where the rat trap would snap if it went off. So of course you're not going to set the trap before you bait it, you're going to bait it first. So I have one here. This is sort of a wooden trap, and this yellow plate here is where you're going to put the food for them. So you're just going to put a little bit, you don't need a lot, just a little bit, and make sure it's on there really good so that they're going to have to lick it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this spring and we're going to bring it back, and you're going to hang on to this very, very carefully. And this little lever here goes into that yellow part. And now when you're letting this go, you see how I got my thumb underneath the spring? And I'm going to let that go. And this spring is now going to snap there. So I don't want to put my fingers anywhere in this area, because if the snap trap jumps and hits your thumb, you're going to get hurt. So just to demonstrate, if this was the neck of a rat, you can see the kind of damage it does to that spring. It hits really hard, and it's broken the bark even on that stick. The benefit with these is that they are humane, because they murder the rat instantly and there's no unnecessary suffering. If you're afraid that you have really big rats, like the ones that are like a foot long plus tail, a trap like this is not going to do very much. So in that case, I would research getting like bigger traps or getting an exterminator to come and help. There is another kind of trap here too, and this they're made out of plastic, and with this serrated edge here, they are also quite lethal. So when I'm going to bait this trap, I'm going to put the peanut butter right down in that little hole, and you can see how I've got my thumb on the back, so it's not going to snap back on me, but I'm going to put that peanut butter in there. And I'm not putting my fingers into the trap when it's open. And now I just press down on the back and it's set. So again, to demonstrate, and this does a lot of damage too. It's damaged the bark on that stick. So these, I have used both of these and used them successfully. And the moment of death is instant, and there's no suffering to the rat. If you're using poisons, another thing you have to absolutely make sure of is that once the rat is poisoned, it's not going to get eaten by anybody else. So owls love to eat rats. Raccoons, cats, and a number of other animals are natural predators of rats. So once that poison is ingested, if somebody else eats that rat, that poison is passed on, and it can do a lot of damage to wildlife as well. If you wonder why suddenly you have rats living in your house, well, it could be for a number of reasons. It could be that there's a food source nearby. Bird food is another favorite food of rats. So if you attract birds to your yard by feeding them, odds are you're probably also going to get rats. That's just part of nature. There's really nothing wrong with the odd rat running around, but you just don't want them moving into your house. There could be garbage around, possibly. It's important to have garbage cans that keep rats out. And it could also be that there's been some construction or development in your neighborhood where the sites of rat homes have been disturbed, like a neighbor moving a wood pile or something like that. So it is really important when you do find that you maybe have rats living in your house, that you address it immediately. And the same, of course, is true for mice. So good luck. Be alert if you hear funny noises like scrambling animals in your walls or shuffling little noises at night or whatever. They tend to be nocturnal and active primarily at night. So good luck, and I wish you a rat-free house and garden. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great afternoon or morning. My name is Christina Linder, and this has been A Day in the Garden.